Warning. It is the opinion of the Forestry Productions LLC and the Working Perspectives podcast that we should inform you that some of the language used in this recording could possibly be considered offensive. You have been warned, so if you decide to listen to the recording, then don't complain about the language. Hello, how are you? Thanks for stopping by. Today we're going to talk to some real people about some real things, living real lives, doing real stuff. This is the Working Perspectives podcast. I'm Matt Lavelle, accompanied today by jdub, Justin Richardson, the Heartstopper, Jana Hehlo, and our guest today is the one and only Chad Marks. In case you're wondering, you can find all our stuff and all our content on all podcast platforms and YouTube at Working Perspectives Podcast. You can also on Instagram, Working Perspectives Podcast, and you can join us on the Twitter and the TikTok at Working P Pod. If you'd like to be a guest on the show, please email us at workperspectives@gmail.com, and please like and subscribe so we can keep bringing you this sweet, sweet content. Jdub, how we doing, baby?
Doing good. Doing great.
Love it. Janae, how are you?
Doing great. Doing good.
Good. Well, speaking of being good and great, this is the Working Perspectives Podcast. Let's get this thing started. Let's go.
It's our objective to be effective by voicing societies, working perspective, exploring your day and how you get paid, launching a new episode every Tuesday. Your day can transform while we inform with new episodes available on every platform. So check out our vibe and how we get live. Then do us a solid. Share and subscribe. We're just sharing. We're just sharing. We're just sharing. Working perspectives.
All right. On the show today, we got the man, the myth, the legend that is the one and only Chad Marks. We're going to get some background on Chad, but real quick, Chad, thank you so much for coming on. Super excited to have you. Before we get started, I would just like to ask, what movie do you think is better, The Godfather Part 1 or The Godfather Part 2?
Well, you're going to probably think I'm nuts when I tell you this, but I'm not a movie guy. You know what I mean? I had spent 18 years of my life in prison, so movies wasn't my thing.
Yeah.
But, back then, I'll tell you, I think Carlito's Way was one of my favorite all-time movies. And
Classic.
Actually, absolutely love both of them movies, man.
Yeah. Nice. All right. So then that'll be number 2 by default. And then what about Cheetos? Do you like crunchy or puff?
Crunchy Cheetos. But you know what? Being in jail all them years, another jail thing.
Yeah.
I used to love Cheetos, dude, when I went to prison. After 2 years eating Cheetos, I can't even eat them no more. And they used to be my favorite thing, dude.
Yeah. My uncle's like that. He did some time. He did like 7 years, right? Nothing crazy. And then, but he'll never play cards with us. Like when we're playing cards, he's just like, I'm done. You know what I mean? Like he's not about that anymore. But okay, nice. What about pancakes or waffles?
Damn, that's a hard one. I like them Belgian waffles, bro.
Dude. You and me both, pal. All right.
One.
Nice. And then chocolate or vanilla?
Vanilla.
Love it. Justin, you're just striking out. Stones or Beatles?
Oh, man,
That's
not really
tough.
my thing, but you know what? I got to say the Beatles because of my parents.
Ooh.
Me too, Beatles.
Yep. Nice. And then, okay, this is the big question, Chad. This is going to separate, this is where we find out who you are as a person. All right. When it comes to eating wings, are you drums or are you flat?
Drums, and I love wings, bro.
Yeah.
Right, you're the drums. Fucking right. Beautiful. Nice.
Get you a shirt. Get you a shirt.
Yeah. So perfect. All right. So like you alluded to before, you had done some time in prison. I'm going to let you get more detail, but from what we've researched on you, you were peddling crack, right? And no, am I not allowed to say that?
You're right. But man, this guy's a crack dealer.
No.
Listen, you only have an hour. We got to get straight to the point.
Yeah. I'm trying to shoot these ducks down. But no, so you grew up in Rochester. You grew up in, you didn't have, you were trying to make money to survive, right? And one of the things you did is you were selling drugs. And one of the drugs you were selling, you started with Coke, right? And then Coke to crack, right? And then you were busted with crack and with guns. And at the time, the crack charges were like ultra severe, right?
Yeah.
And so you got, with all the charges combined, were sentenced to 40 years. And what, you were 24, 23?
24 years old.
24 years old, 40 years in prison, bro. I mean,
That's it.
when I was, so yeah, you know, we're gonna have links to all your YouTube channel, and then like all your episodes, your audiobook, everything like that. Blood on the Razor Wire, fantastic stuff. And I caught wind of you when you did your interview with Johnny Mitchell on the Connect. And man, when you said that, like, I instantly thought of where I was when I was 24. And if I was sentenced to 40, I mean, bro, oh my God, that, like, what was that like? Because you said, you alluded to it a little bit, even in your book. You talk about like you're just you're just decimated. And you know, one of the great lines you had from the book is, you taste the salt from your tears as you look away from your mom and head to the back of the courtroom and out, right? Like, what was that like?
I mean, it's devastating. I mean, you asked me to give you a little rundown, so here, I'll give the people a rundown, all right?
Love it, love it.
My name's Chad Marks. I'm from Rochester, New York. At the age of 24, I was arrested by the federal government. Eventually, I would go to trial on a crack cocaine conspiracy along with 2 guns. A lot of people don't know this, but I ended up getting 40 years for one. A 12-gauge shotgun, I got 5 years for that. I got 25 years for a 22 rifle and 10 years for the crack cocaine. You know, I get sentenced to 40 years in federal prison. 40 years, you're going to pretty much do about 35 with good time. Eventually, Donald Trump would, you know, become the president. He would pass what's called the First Step Act. The First Step Act changed a bunch of things and gave federal judges the power back to re-sentence people if you can show extraordinary and compelling reasons. And I did that. And my judge ended up resentencing me after, you know, I did 17 years, 5 months, 21 days straight. He would resentence me. I've been out almost about 2.5 years. Ended up with back with my ex-wife. She had to go on with her life. I had 40 years.
Yeah.
We ended up getting remarried. We just had 2 little twin boys. While in prison, I became what some would say the best jailhouse lawyer in the whole system.
Yeah.
I've helped over 100 men and women get out of prison. While in prison, I got a college degree. I taught numerous courses, but I wasn't always a nice guy. I was in the most dangerous prisons in the country. Yeah. The government had alleged that I was a white gang member at one time for many years. And then they said that, you know, I stopped the gang stuff and started to educate myself. And the last 10 years, I pretty much turned my life around. Ended up going from a maximum. I was in the most dangerous federal prison in the country, hands down.
Is that Big Sandy you're talking about?
It was USP Big Sandy. Jesus. I spent, you know, a lot of time there. I've been in other.
Where's Big Sandy?
Inez, Kentucky.
Okay.
So when you go to federal prison, they can send you anywhere. I've been in Louisiana. I've been in Florida. I've been in New York. They ship you wherever. But I've been in some of the most dangerous prisons in the country. I don't care if it's state prison, federal prison. Some of your viewers might think, oh, federal prison's a nice place. Not even close. Yeah. People are murdered there. People are stabbed there. Big Sandy, it was almost like, you know, not to make it sound like, oh, it's so treacherous, but it was. Yeah. I mean, people were stabbed all the time there. There'd be 2 or 3 stabbings a week. Sometimes 2 or 3 in one day.
When they transfer you, is it via bus, or they don't fly people, do they?
Oh yeah, of course.
It's like Con Air, right?
I've flown to prisons that were close. I drove one time from Oklahoma, and I thought, well, you know, we're going to Louisiana. It can't be that bad. Handcuffed around my waist. It took about 13 hours to the prison. I'm shackled, handcuffed, and I was always transported with a black box, right? Not everyone in the feds gets that, but I had some prior assaults during pretrial. I was a pretty, I was an animal at one time, man. Just vicious, just a bad dude.
So you talked about that in the book. You were you had the black box put on, and you talked about how they threw the black box on another guy while you're taking a trip. What is the black box? Is that like just to restrain you completely, or what's going on?
So when you got that, you know, when you got handcuffs on, you can move your hands, right?
Right.
You can move around a little bit. And usually you're cuffed to your stomach, your waist, but you can still move your cuffs. When they put the black box on, you're like this. So if you try to eat the sandwich that they give you, or they give you bags of water in little plastic bags, you got to bite it and you got to go. So the black box, and it's right to the bone, man. And it hurts, man. If you got to scratch, you just can't move. Imagine being like that for 13 hours.
Gosh.
Sounds awful.
Oh, that's tough.
It is.
God dang. Yeah. And dude, imagine that at 24 years old. And so you get sentenced, and they transport you to you were in a state for a little bit, and then you went to Big Sandy, right?
Yeah. I I was in the county jail. I was actually in an immigration facility. Some dudes they escaped from our county jail. So they ended up moving all the federal inmates over to an immigration facility. Then I ended up in a private prison in Youngstown, Ohio, pre-trial, which was a vicious, vicious place. I mean, you couldn't really tell the difference between staff and prisoners over there.
No shit.
You never locked in. It was a wild, wild place. Extreme violence. Not a nice place to be, man.
Yeah. And you're at that age too, like you're at 24, you're still so impressionable and like, you know, like some could say like easily manipulated. So when you went in, like in the book, you talk about that you had, you know, it's very segregated by race, the prisons, everything's segregated by race. And you go in and right away there's a white guy and he asks you like, do you want to cell with this dude? He's a young white kid who acts like, you know, like a brother, or you can go with this older white dude who's a little crazy, but because he goes to bed early and he wakes up early and stuff. And you ended up going with the older guy, and that would be Mr. Young, right? And looking back on that, have you ever thought of what if you went the other way? What if you picked the young guy? Where would you be? What would happen? Because Mr. Young, he would like, it seems like he would say like, no, don't be stupid and all this stuff. But kind of some things you took his advice, but sometimes not, right?
Yeah. I mean, if I would have went in that other cell, eventually, you know, I could already tell the other kid was from my city too.
Yeah.
He was a white kid. He was in the New York car, the black New York car at the time. And I knew that, you know, if I went in a cell with this kid, I'd probably there would be an issue probably, and it wouldn't take long because, you know, he tried to act like he was a tough kid. And,
yeah,
you know, I was a tough kid for real.
Yeah.
And, you know, we would have had an issue for sure. And, you know, maybe he would have got me. Maybe I would have got him because he would stab you without a question. He would stab you.
Oh,
so,
shit.
you know, I might have ended up out of Big Sandy a lot sooner than I did.
Yeah, but you might have I mean, I'll tell you this. So I want to shout it out. We'll have a link in the description. Blood on the Razor Wire is your book. And this book is fantastic. And I'm not like we were talking about it pre-show. The description you have in the book, it's so good that it seems like it's fiction. You know what I mean? Like that's how good the description is and the detail. It's phenomenal. And you talk about some of the violence that occurs at Big Sandy. So you had said like even like right away when you got there was a guy jumped like the couple days like right before and stuff. But you mentioned the word car, and car is slang for like group or gang or clique. Right. And you in the book, you talk about it. You were like and Kelly, the guy Kelly would tell you no gangs, whatever you do, no gangs. Right. What is the fear? Because you think like they say like, OK, yeah, you're white. All the white guys stick together, but don't join a gang. Right. Like and not all the white guys did stick together. But what was like the big fear or the no of like, hey, you don't join these gangs? You know what I mean?
Well, you know, really, man, this is how federal prison works, right? You got a lot of white supremacist gangs, not all of them are racist.
Yeah.
But, you know, the white gangs were like imposing their will, you know, we got the numbers. So if we got the numbers, we got the power.
Yeah.
And it was kind of like being from the East Coast, we had an East Coast car, right? So there's a bunch of white dudes in the East Coast car, but our shot caller ended up taking a bunch of other people and from down south, and we just became what was called the independent car. So we were like, look, we're not letting white gang members push us around, do whatever you want to us. It's just, that's not how it's going to work. And now we had the numbers, and what we became a white gang, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Now we had the numbers. So, you know, it's like they hate it's crazy because it's like the independents hate the white gang members. You always want to clash with your own people when you probably shouldn't be that way. There is more strength in numbers. But that was what, you know, that's the situation there. People are in there with 40 years, 50 years life. You know, people are actually looking for reasons to do stuff to people. Like they feel good about it. It's part of prison life. Like that's how they pass their day. Yeah. And I've been involved in situations where, you know, the shot caller's like, yo, look, man, we're going to smash this dude. And I'm just kind of thinking in my head, like, smash him for what? Yeah. Well, he sat at our table. He disrespected us. He should have never sat there. And I'm thinking in my head, like, this dude's like 50 years old. He's like, reminds me of one of my uncles. Like, we're going to beat this dude up because he sat at our table. Are you serious? A table that we really don't own?
Yeah.
So, you know, people would always look for reasons in every race, bro. Black, Spanish, you know, I don't care what group you're in. People were looking for, you know, problems in there, man. And it's unfortunate.
Yeah.
But, you know, getting yourself involved in a gang, it's just, you know, it's like, hey, man, there's two sides here. You want to be a white gang member or you want to be a white independent? But really, you're a gang member, no matter what you
Right.
Yeah. The independents ended up being a gang. Yeah, like you're saying. And you would talk about it too. The one guy, your shot caller of the independents, he would eventually be giving out like Ronald Reagan speeches, getting you guys hyped up, ready to go, right? Like by the time you get to like chapter like 11, 12, like that area, that guy is like he's I mean, he was like, we're taking like I guess the white boy, dirty white boys, right? I get like I think no, from what it seems, no one likes the dirty white boys, right? Like so.
Well, let me tell you a little history on that though. I did a video on it the other day.
Okay.
But that's because the dirty white boys were at the top of the food chain once upon a time in federal prison. They became the biggest white gang in federal prison, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it was, and people are like, what about the Aryan Brotherhood? Well, yeah, I mean, they just didn't have the numbers in state prison in California, all of that stuff. But when you get to a Fed joint and there's like 2 ABs on 1 yard, you're like, they don't wield the power. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's federal prison. So, you know, the DWBs ended up becoming probably one of the biggest white gangs. And when you're at the top of the food chain, other people dislike you, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, look at the president. You know, President Trump, people hated him. Just, you know, he's at the top.
Yeah.
Now Biden, people hate him because, you know, you're at the top.
Yeah.
But when you're at the top, other people despise you. They start making their own groups. Them dudes ain't going to tell us what to do. They ain't calling the shots here.
Yeah.
So people, you know, despise the DWBs. And eventually, you know, on the video I talked about the other day, there's a kid in my unit, Mikey Eck, and they end up, you know, stabbing him in the face, stabbing him in the eye, just because we don't like them DWBs. Them dudes are scumbags. They're extorting good white dudes.
Yeah.
And, you know, when they're saying that shit, you know, the same dudes that were saying that, once they got power, they became the dudes extorting good white dudes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Man, that's I mean, oh, gosh. And you know, you do talk about that stuff and everything in the book, which you know, we'll have a link in the description. And the video you're talking about is available now on your YouTube channel, Blood on the Razor Wire. So very, very, very highly suggest checking that out. So like you're saying though, you're in there and when you're real young, right? Like, are you looking for like what are you like? You're really in survival mode when you're in there, right? And you're going through day to day and you're trying to like pick things out, but you're not trying to start shit and you know what I mean? Like you're just kind of staying light, but eventually something would happen to you, right? Like you got stabbed in the face, right?
Well, I ended up getting stabbed in the back. I got stabbed in the back at another prison. When I was in state prison, I was stabbed in the face in state prison. But that's a whole nother story, right?
Yeah.
But I ended up getting stabbed in state prison in the face. I did 2 years in state prison, came home. I was home 14 months, became a crack dealer, like you said. And, I ended up with a 40-year sentence. I was only home 14 months and ended up with 40 years.
Yeah.
But yeah, eventually I do end up getting stabbed in prison, but not at Big Sandy. That was in another prison.
Okay.
But I do end up getting jumped at Big Sandy.
Okay.
By a kid named Ace who had the independent car.
Yeah.
He wanted the independent car. Ace would eventually be shot from the gun tower, stabbing someone else a year after my incident.
Oh
Yeah.
my.
They shoot him in the back with an AR-15. They blow his guts out of his stomach. The nurse is on the ground cleaning, like trying to get the dirt off his guts and stick him back in his stomach. But
Oh,
Ace ends up dying at Big Sandy, and you know, blood left on the razor wire.
That's crazy. Like you're saying that was such a regular occurrence though, right? Like I remember like when you told that story about Ace, because what had happened was it was like these 2 other guys weren't like from Ohio or something, weren't feeling him and they went to jump him, right? And the one guy runs away and the other guy gets on top of him and is going at him, right? And then Ace gets shot. And then like after that you list like a couple other things that happened, and that just seems like it was something that was so prevalent that happened all the time. Were there times ever where you're like, all right, I think everything's going to be good today, or today it seems like a light day, or was it always like on your toes, like hackles up, you know?
Dude, every day is a dangerous day in federal prison, right? It's not Camp Good Day special times.
Yeah.
If you're in a maximum security federal prison, I don't care which one you're at. If you're in Pollock in Louisiana, if you're in Beaumont in Texas, if you're in Atwater in California, or Victorville, or Big Sandy, or McCrary, every day is a dangerous day. I would be happy when they used to have fog counts, right? In the fall, it gets real foggy. You know, they come open the doors and then they'd be like, okay, lock back in. You'd be locked in till 8:39, maybe 10 o'clock in the morning. That's the only time you could really sleep in, right?
Oh.
And then, you know, they let you out, run breakfast, and then send you to work. But whenever there was a fog count, I was like, thank God, I'm getting locked in a cell. I'm in here with Mr. Young. I'm good. Mr. Young ain't going to attack me. He's about 60-something years old.
Yeah.
I'm not going to attack Mr. Young. And we can go ahead and go to sleep and get some rest. And it's not even physical. You know, you're not just exhausted physically, but you're exhausted mentally, man.
Because you're
every
always
day.
thinking, always looking, always on your toes.
And because of that, I did all that time. But even now, when I go to a restaurant, I want to sit with my back to the wall. I watch people that come in, especially with all this crazy shit going on in the world now, right?
Yeah.
I want to be
sure.
able to, see. I'm in the post office a lot because I own a paralegal and prison consultant firm.
Mhm.
So I'm always sending out stuff. But the door beeps when people walk in, bing, bing. And I'll always look, and I find myself, the clerk's here, and I find myself to the side where I'm watching this person. If they're a young person, usually old people, I'm like, all right, we're cool. But, I'm always watching, man. We go to
Yeah.
Walmart. It's dangerous, man.
Yeah.
And even with my wife, I tell her, look, man, if anything ever happened, this is what you do.
Mhm.
You don't just start you go to where that shipping and receiving is, where in the grocery store where the dude that's doing the meat, he's
Mhm.
coming out of that door. There's a loading dock back there, and that's where we're going. We're getting the fuck out of here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
Absolutely.
I'm mindful, but it's because of prison, man. I
Mhm.
watch people, I watch people's movement. You learn that stuff, dude. It's like natural that you learn, and you can tell when, there was an incident about 2 months ago in the post office where this dude's in there on the phone talking about I'm about to blow this dude's head off, and I'm like, I'm watching this cat, and I'm thinking in the moment, I'm on post supervised release, I'm on federal probation, parole, right?
Yeah.
And I'm thinking to myself, man, should I grab this kid? Like I really thought, like I'm gonna grab this kid by the throat, put him.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do something to this cat. And I'm like, man, you know what? I'm just leaving. I'm not even checking out my mail or nothing. And if I wasn't on parole just because the way the kid was talking, I probably would have definitely. I was a little scared. You know what I mean? So I was
Yeah.
gonna grab him, dude, and I didn't. But that's only because I was on parole. And then later on, they know me at the post office. So I had asked the lady, what was up with that kid the other day,
Mm-hmm.
She's like, oh, he always comes in here starting shit. He's got mental health problems and they called the police. And I'm like, oh, okay. But, like I'm always mindful, bro. You know what I
But
mean?
you know what's crazy too is that what you're saying there in that situation, you're thinking of like, how can I help and do the right thing, right? In that situation, and it's crazy that if you were to help and do the right thing, you could have gotten in so much more trouble,
Yep.
and it juice wouldn't have been worth the squeeze. And the better
Right.
thing is to to leave, which sucks, right? Like doing the right thing is more dangerous than than actually what would have, you know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah,
it's
because
just
in the moment I wasn't even thinking that this dude's nuts. I don't know this cat. I never seen him
right.
before here. And I'm really thinking like this dude's got a gun on him, right? That's what
Yeah.
I'm really thinking in my head.
Yeah.
And my natural reaction is like, yo, I'm gonna yoke this kid up.
Yeah.
And then my feet got real hot. Dude, I felt my feet were sweating immediately. And I started to get like, you know what I mean? And I've been in them situations in prison where I'm like, whenever you go on a mission in prison, and I ask people this on my channel, and I've been on a few missions in my life, right? It was the same feeling where my feet got hot and it's like I can hear everything. I'm like, it's just really, it's an intense feeling. And even in prison, man, when you got to go stab somebody, you're like, maybe I shouldn't even talk about this on here, but in that moment, I try not to talk about my personal stories on my channel,
Right.
and I do have a little PTSD, man.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
I'm
of
sure
course.
you do.
you get them feelings, dude. And I had that feeling that day where it's like, it's intense. My heart's beating, my feet are sweating. And I'm
Yeah.
thinking, I'm going to do something to this dude. In that split moment, dude, I thought about my wife and I thought about my kids. And I said, man, maybe I better just leave.
Mhm.
Just leave. Fuck the mail. I'm leaving.
Mm-hmm.
And I made that decision. But the other part of me really wanted to grab him. But had I grabbed him, this kid really don't have a gun. And they're like, oh, he's a mental health patient. He's always in here. You're in the wrong. You should have never put your hands on this guy.
Yeah, and you're an ex-con and violent and all that bullshit.
Yeah.
I'm thinking I don't know this cat, but it's not even about, you said, doing the right thing. Yeah, it's cool to do the right thing and help other people, but I was worried about me in that moment. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's hard to think about you. It's hard
Yeah.
to think about you rather than like go with your natural instincts.
Mm-hmm.
That's like, I think that's like learned behavior
Mhm.
because everyone's natural instincts, you have to fight it because now the world is looking at you negatively because you're a criminal.
Yeah.
Like, come on, we all are. But
yeah.
like, you have to think about your family now, and that's really not easy.
Yeah. Couldn't agree more. Yeah. Plus, too, you like right away, your boys are going through your mind and all. Like that's the shit. Like before, when you were young and reckless, you'd be like, "Oh, whatever," But now, when you got your wife, you got your home, you got your family, and your boys, like all that shit flashes. Like, dude, that shit flashes in my mind. Like, say I got a 3-year-old daughter, right? Say I'm driving, right, and I get like something on my phone. I'm even like, "Fuck, don't look at it," because like. like you shouldn't be taking your eyes off the road, like just simple shit like that. But it goes through your mind because of like, you know, before I'd have been like, oh, what the fuck, you know, like now, but now it's like you got people depend on you. You can't be doing that shit.
Dude, that's my, you know, that was my thing, dude. I never in my life did I ever have to take care of anyone. I took care of myself. And, you know, in prison, of course, you know, our group of people, you know, I would try to make the best decisions that I could make, right, in prison. But I was never had to really be responsible except for myself. I knew I had to make sure that I ate. Now I got to make sure that my kids eat. I got to make sure that the mortgage is paid. I got to make sure that, you know, they got clothes. I got to make sure there's days when I don't want to work, but I got to bring my ass down here in the office and I got to work, bro. Because if I don't work, then they might not eat. So that's, you know, I'm focused on them. I love them with all my heart, man.
Oh man, dude, they are literally.
I love them too.
Yeah, literally, dude. I remember like, and I've said this before, like when me and my wife were together and like she's pregnant and I'm thinking, I'm like, man, there's no way I could love anything more than I love my wife. And then I have my daughter and I'm like, who the fuck is my wife? You know what I mean? Like, you're like, I love this, like this little baby now has replaced anything I ever thought I knew what love could be, you know? And that's kids,
I love my wife too, though. This is my wife, man.
Oh,
Hi,
dude.
wife.
You're a lucky man, dude. You're very talk about out kicking your coverage. Golly. you and Justin got a couple
Yeah,
things
you
in
and
common.
Justin.
And just like V would wait for me. V would wait 17 years for me.
She
She
absolutely
probably would because she's
not.
perfect.
Yeah.
No, she would, Matt.
Justin's girlfriend's been on the show. Her name's Veronica, and everyone was amazed that they actually date. And,
Did
like,
you
live together.
did
So
you
I'm
like keep in contact throughout the years in prison, or like you got out and you were just like, hey, you single?
You're saying like keep in contact with your now wife? Okay.
Oh, dude,
Yeah.
you want to know the craziest stuff, right? Okay, so I end up with 40 years. She's got to go on with her life, right?
Right. Yeah, you have to.
You know, you can't wait 40 years for me.
No.
So she went on with her life, man. She met someone and she ended up getting married. And
Wow.
and the crazy thing, and you know, I love her with all my heart, and we had a lot of dreams together, right? So I come home from prison and she contacts me, and I'm like,
Oh.
hey, you know, I had checked out her on Facebook and seen that she's
Sure.
part of the neighborhood watch team, and I'm thinking, damn, what does she work at the police department? Like, so and then I just left it alone, bro. And eventually she contacts me, and dude, honestly, man, I told her, look, man, I love you. I'll always love you. But you know, you got a family, man. You got to go home and be with your family and just forget about me and you know, go on with your life. And it seemed like that's what was going to happen, and it didn't. She kept coming to my house like, hey, I just want to talk to you. You know.
Yeah.
It was my wife, dude. She was the love of my life, bro. And, you know, it's crazy because eventually she ends up telling her then husband, like, you know, and I even talked to him and I'm like, dude, I don't want your wife. You know what I mean? Like, you guys have your life.
But
Yeah.
you did
I
though.
live that way. It hurt me to say that. You know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
she was the love of my life.
Mhm.
And eventually, man, she says, look, you know, I felt like this was, you know, I hate to say this, but this was my real husband. And this was the life that I was supposed to have. And I'm having these feelings and I can't do this. It's just, I feel like I have to go here.
Wow.
Dude, I pushed her away, dude, 1,000 times, bro. And I know dudes are probably like, yeah, sure you did. 100%, bro. I said, look, you got a family, man. Just go home, man. Just go home. She's in my parking lot in my house at like 9 at night. Like, where are you? I want to talk to you. And I'm like, look, man, just go home, man. I'm in my house. Just go home.
You're also like, I just got out. Like this could go,
Yeah.
you know, like like I got needs, you know.
But anyway, you know, eventually, you know, she does what she's, you know, we end up together. We get remarried. And like I said, we got 2 little twin boys. She's the love of my life, dude. I love her with all my heart. And I feel that, you know, the feeling was, you know, the same way on her part. And dude, she was with this dude for like 15 years, bro. You know what I mean?
Wow.
That is an absolutely incredible story. That
I mean,
is
I mean, for us, maybe not for him, right? But
No, not for that guy, but for
Right,
you.
yeah.
Yeah. It's like
Well-
Castaway. Like, remember, like in that Tom Hanks. You haven't. I don't know if you saw Castaway while you were
I
in
haven't
prison.
seen it.
no, I know what Castaway is. So.
spoiler.
But like, yeah, like
Wilson!
he's lost for so long that like his wife moves on, and like rightfully so. You
Yeah.
know, like
and
you
you
can't blame her.
You didn't hold a grudge. You were like
No.
telling her, like, come on, go
Yeah.
ahead. Like, I know where I'm going. I don't expect you to
No,
wait.
I'm not gonna lie to you, bro. I was a little hurt over it, and I did hold a grudge. And honestly,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna keep it real with you, bro. I was immature, right?
Yeah.
So for a long time, I was angry inside about the whole situation because I was like,
Yeah.
man, I was married, and I couldn't understand at that young age and with an immature mind that this girl has to go on with her life. She's a pretty girl,
Yeah.
good girl. She needed to go on with her life. And eventually, man, I would get over it, but I wouldn't say I got over the anger.
Mhm.
But I never got over her, bro, as crazy as that sounds, right?
Mhm.
In prison, you live the same life every single day.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're still there.
When I left, I was 24 years old when I left. When I was in prison at the age of 35, I was still playing basketball the same way I played at 24. I was still benching 350 pounds. I still feel like I'm 24 years old, bro. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I feel that way.
That's crazy.
So for me, it's just, I don't know, man. I never, honestly, dude, I never got over her. When I won my case and the
Yeah.
judge granted my case,
Yeah.
I told my boy, man, he's been in Victorville, Atwater. I said, bro, you think she'll ever want to talk to me? That was, I had talked to him about it. He was my right hand man. He was my partner, my homeboy, right?
Yeah.
Look, man, and he's an older guy. He's 58 years old. I'm gonna bring him on the show.
Yeah.
He's wise, a very wise older guy. Been in prison 20 years. He got
Mhm.
out now. He said, look, man. He said, I'm gonna be straight up because I'm your friend. He said, man, you got to go on with your life. She's
Mhm.
probably not gonna contact.
Mhm.
Let her live her life, man. She's got a family. You know this. Let her live her life, bro. You go
Yeah.
on. You still look a little young. You're still, And back then when I got out, I was 209 pounds. I'm 240 now. But
Nice.
I was all right, bro. You know what I mean? I was,
You're working out every day,
Every
doing all
day.
your shit. Yeah.
So, it was like, he's like, just let her go, dude. And I was like, man, you're right, bro. But she was the first thing I thought of when I won my case. Like, I'm going to get I'm going to get to talk to her. And then when I got out, I'm thinking, damn, bro, she's got a family. Leave her alone because
Right.
all it takes is one phone call and you're hit. You're going back
Right.
to
Yeah.
jail. Like, you're harassing these people, these good people.
Yeah.
Give them a chance. And I'm like, yeah, I better leave her alone, dude. And I did. I just let it go. And within 3 months of me being home, she had found out. The police had called her before I got out and let her know, like, hey, this dude's getting out, man. Because they used to think I was like a crazy ass dude, right? I've always been a good hearted dude. I've done some bad shit in my life in prison.
Right.
But that's
right.
prison life, man.
Right.
Did I do some bad shit in the street to people? It comes with the territory, right? I have
Right.
done some bad shit to people and I regret it. And I don't glamorize that shit. I don't glamorize being a drug dealer. My YouTube channel, like I tell people all the time, YouTube doesn't pay my bills. I own a paralegal and
Mhm.
prison consultant firm. I do YouTube because I want to, man.
Mhm.
It's therapeutic for me. It's therapeutic for other people. And the
Mhm.
mission is to save kids from life imprisonment and premature death in the streets through our
Mhm.
stories and experiences, man.
Yeah. And I firmly believe that you do that. You do preach that message of like, this ain't a glamorous life. I did this because I had to. I had no other option. Right. Like you do put that word out there, and that is impressive. And it's a good thing that you're doing that too. And dude, you do a great job. And like I said, link will be in the description of your YouTube channel. But we talked a little bit about you were cock diesel coming out of the, getting out. What was your workout routine like while you were inside?
Man, I worked out by myself every single morning, right?
Wow.
I would go out in the morning. The first thing I would do is I would run 2 miles. That's just my little warm up. After I got done with that,
like
I
just doing laps in the yard, you like mapped it out to 2 miles?
Yeah, I mean, like, let's say, like, when I was in Raybrook, I think the track was 3 times around was a mile, right?
Okay.
That would just be my initial thing. I'd do that. Then I go over there, hit the pull-up bar, the dip bar. After that, dude, I'm going to bring a dude on my channel that was my workout partner, and our workouts were nuts. They were intense, right?
Yeah.
After that, man, I'd do a bunch of burpees. I would do matrix
Ugh.
burpees. You know what matrix burpees are?
No, what are
Fuck
those?
no.
Okay, so you got a medicine ball, right?
Okay.
You throw it against the handball wall,
Okay,
and you're
okay.
probably about a little further, probably 15 feet away.
Okay.
You would throw that ball on the wall, right? And it's heavy, dude. What is it, like 20 pounds?
Yeah.
To the wall, you go down burpee, 2 push-up burpee. By the time you get back up, the ball's back.
Ugh.
Back against the wall. And,
I hate it.
dude, I worked out pretty hard. Dudes used to, even in prison, dude, I used to eat. Like, I like to eat. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Dudes were like, dude, if you just ate clean, bro, you'd be an animal. Because I did, man. I worked out like a champ, dude.
Yeah.
So I would get done with the burpees, and then I would go over and hit a little bit of the weights, and then I would go in, man. But that's how I spent my mornings for many, many years. Did I get out like this big dude out of a magazine? No. Did I have a little six-pack? Yeah. Was my cardio on 100%? I would do these other things too, where we got a circle. Like on the basketball court, the circle at the top where the foul line's at.
Yeah, top of the
We would
key.
get on that line and that circle, and we'd be going around in a circle, moving. You're moving. Hot feet. We call it hot feet. And say and go down. Boom, you go down. 2 push-up burpee. You're back up. Now you're going the other direction. But you might get up right away, right, and go down again. Boom, up, down again, and now you're moving. And these were 5-minute rounds. And that's what we would do. Even running the track, we'd be running the track and say, you know what? Hey, get down. Boom. You drop down and you're doing 3 burpees. You're up. You're back running. Drop. You're back doing 3 burpees. You're running. You might run a quarter mile. Boom. You're back down. You might run 10 more steps. Boom. You're back down. So, but dude, I've been with dudes where workout, you'd be like, there was this dude that was a former Marine that was at FMC Lexington.
Okay.
He had like some wild terrorist shit, dude. White dude, right?
Yeah.
Like he went across seas and like got involved with like those people over there.
Yeah.
No disrespect to the Muslims, but and dude, he did some terrorist shit and he ended up getting like 60 years in prison. This dude would be out there working out for 4 hours straight, dude. I'm talking about come over the top of the pull-up bar, rock on his back, no hands, get back up on his feet, run, and always worked out with his boots, man. And them boots will kill your feet. I never seen a dude work out like this. We had another dude from Connecticut named Shooter, man, and they called him Shooter because of his basketball and his hockey.
Yeah.
This dude would do what the hell were them pull-ups he did? Murphs, the dude from the Navy SEALs.
Yeah.
He had that backpack on his back.
Mike Murphy, right? Yeah.
He'd do them Murphs, and no disrespect to Murph, but this dude would probably blow Murph out of the water, bro.
Oh, I bet.
I did a course with them, and I used to work out every day. I did one lap in this course, which took about 40 minutes, right? One lap. They're doing 4. And dude, after the first lap, I was like, I had to lay down, bro. I laid on the picnic table and told him, dude, something's the matter with me.
Yeah.
I was like, I was really fucked up, man. And these dudes, and there's another dude, he owns a gym now in Cleveland. It's called 216 Strong.
Yeah.
Guy named Castro, bro. I mean, rip. Like this dude was like an animal. And his workouts, dude, he used to CrossFit. He was the king of CrossFit, dude.
Yeah.
King of CrossFit.
Do you ever miss that? Like, do you ever get the, like, now that you're out, do you ever get the urge to like wake up and do some stuff or no?
Oh, I mean, I work out now, dude. I messed up, but I'm back. I go through bouts, man, getting back on track. This is my boy right here from Cali. You see this dude?
Golly.
25 years in prison. How old do you think that cat is?
Maybe 50.
I'm so confused.
He's like 65. This used to be one of my workout partners.
65.
He's got the body of a 40-year-old and the face of a 60-year-old.
Yeah, he's a former NLR Nazi lowrider, put a lot of work in, stabbed a couple people in prisons in California, but now he's a full-fledged Christian. Dude, he did 25 years straight, man. I'm going to bring him on the show. But that dude is a workout animal, dude.
Yeah.
He works out every morning out on the beach, then goes to his job, his carpenter job. I think he comes home from that, and then he works out some more.
Yeah. Dude, is it like when you're working out inside, is it like the thought is like, I gotta, stay ready, don't gotta get ready kind of thing? Like, and if you're not working out, if you're someone that isn't working out, are you considered like a mark? Like they're gonna come after you?
I mean, dudes don't just be like, hey, I'm gonna do something to this dude, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like there'll be a reason, or it might be a reason like you sat at the wrong table.
Right.
There's a lot of fat dudes in there. There's a lot of dudes that are unhealthy. There's cars, like keeping it real, dude, there's Mexican gangs in there where it's mandatory. You better work out. I've been to prisons where, even with us in Big Sandy, like our shot caller required you to work out. Dude. So yeah, you better be ready, but you want to be ready anyway, because you don't want to die in there. So you want to work out. You want to make sure you're healthy. You want to make, I've seen so many people get beat up, right? Tough guys get beat up because they run out of air. I'll give you a little example.
Yeah.
I'm in that CCA in Youngstown, Ohio, right? Big fat kid, man. He's punking his celly and all this shit. His celly's a little skinny kid from Cleveland. Not really a troublemaker. In jail for probably selling, a half ounce of crack in dime bags with a pistol.
Yeah.
Punking this kid. And, I'm cool with the kid. I talked to him a little bit. It's not racially segregated there. I haven't been to federal prison yet.
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, man, I don't like bullies, bro. I never did.
Yeah.
I'm like, punch that kid in the face, man. I said, when he's sleeping, crack him with something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If he's sitting at the TV, watching the TV, for real, I gave him advice. Walk up and whack him. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You can't beat him, whack him. So one day he slapped the kid in the day room. And this is a true story. And the kid was embarrassed. So the kid gets up and he's fighting with this kid. And they're fighting probably 30, 40 seconds. That's a long time in a jail fight for dudes that are just off the street.
Yeah.
And the dude's kind of beating the little skinny kid up. And then he gets tired. What do you think happens when he gets tired? He can't breathe. And that little skinny kid, man, the skinny kid looked like an Ethiopian kid, right? I'm telling you, man, he beat the dog breaks off this kid. Damn. And I was so happy that he beat the shit out of him. It made me feel, but yeah, the dude ran out of gas. Next thing you know, he's on the ground. His kid's kicking him in the face, everything.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
But you know what, man? The dude slapped him in front of everybody and kept treating him like he was, like he
didn't have a choice. Didn't have a choice.
That's it.
Yeah. Stamina makes cowards of us all, man. That's the truth, brother. That's it. Damn. So, I mean, those workout regimes, like, did you ever think for your channel of putting out a workout video?
I put a super burpee on my shorts. It got like 2.5 million views.
Yeah, damn.
This kid did a burpee that you couldn't even, he's a Sereno, right? Dude, this is the best burpee I ever seen in my life.
Was it a Sereno? What's that?
He's a Southsider, Hispanic gang member.
Okay, all right. And
But,
so he does like just the cleanest 2 push-up burpee.
No, dude, this dude does a backflip in his burpee, all kinds of
What?
stuff.
Golly,
You gotta go
I-
check it out. It's got like 2.5 million views, dude.
I've seen the one. There's this one dude oh gosh, I'm blanking on his name, but he's like a big like he's an ex-con workout guy, and he's like huge. Right, he's probably like maybe 260, right? Just yoked, and he does these burpees legit. Like he's like a big guy, and it looks like he's like on a trampoline. Like how
This
about
guy's
it?
in like jail Olympics.
Yeah, I would do that's something too. Like, would you say when you were in Fed, because all the guys are like in shape and everyone's working out, like would the fights there like on average be longer, you think, than like a normal street fight would be?
Yeah, I've seen some dudes get it in where you're like, damn, bro. You know what I mean?
Fuck.
But dudes ain't really skilled fighters. Not a lot of dudes.
True.
I mean, you watch a UFC fight and you're like, damn, a good UFC fight like Stephen Bonner and Forrest Griffin. I mean, you're not going to see a fight like that in prison, but
Yeah.
I've seen some pretty good fights, and I've seen dudes fight for a long time. But when you're in a maximum security prison, there's usually it's a weapon policy, bro. If you're in a maximum security prison, most of the time, are there fights? Yeah, but are mostly people stabbing? Yes.
That's crazy too. Like in the book, which we'll have a link in the description, Blood on the Razor Wire. In your book, you say you're 24. Imagine this, guys: 24 years old, sentenced to 40 years. You got the black box on your hands. You transported to a prison that you know is like the most dangerous prison going. You get in there, and the guards are telling you, "All right, you better get a knife." First day. They're saying, "Hey, grab a knife, buddy. Good luck." You
Don't
know,
get no tattoos on your face and get a knife. That's what
that's crazy, right? That's crazy that the guards telling you that. They're like, "Look, if it gets out of hand, we might step in, but get a knife just for you.
But
You know,
we won't.
A knife will keep someone off you, man. You know what I mean? Nobody
Yeah.
really wants to get stabbed. I mean, are there
True.
some crazy dudes in there that'll rush you? Yeah. I mean, if you got a knife and we're coming to get you, someone's going to grab you.
True.
I might get stabbed grabbing you, and hopefully it's not in the heart, but I'm going to grab you, man. But most people, it'll keep people off you for a little bit.
Yeah. It's a deterrent for sure. And then you talked about this too, because Johnny Mitchell. So your episode on the Connect, Johnny Mitchell. That's where I saw you first. On Johnny Mitchell talks about when tensions were high in the prison, everybody in the showers has got their boots on, right? And you told him, you're like, yo, that wasn't just at tensions were high. That was all the time. You're always rocking your boots. Right?
All the time, man. You go to the shower with your boots on. Somebody stands out. One of your homeboys will stand outside the shower and watch you. You got your knife with you on the shower. I used to hang my knife right on the lanyard, right on the faucet where you turn the water on, right?
Wow.
Some prisons got a push button, but I just hang it there. You got to have it, dude. And then when you get out of the shower, you dry your feet off. You got shower shoes on. You dry your feet because you carry your shower shoes with you to the shower. You dry your feet off. You put your boots on. You walk back to your cell. You get dressed now. You go watch your partner while he goes to the shower. You hold him down.
Damn, dude. That and like to also too imagine like trying to find a guy you trust enough to watch your back while
Right.
you're in the most vulnerable position you can be in the
Right.
shower, right? Like even that's pretty scary. What was I mean, I don't want to get you in trouble, but what was your knife made of? Like what did it look like?
You can't get me in trouble. It's been a long time.
Okay.
I've had various knives, dude.
Yeah.
Usually, man, a piece of steel out of the bed. You can cut it out with nail clippers. You can cut it out with beard trimmers, which they took out of the prisons now. That blade, you just saw away with that, with that blade, and you shape your knife how you want it. One of the best knives is an ice pick. Well, what we call ice pick. You might get a steel rod out of the ceiling inside the kitchen, and you know what? You sharpen it down to a point. It's like a big long ass nail, dude, and that's it.
Wow. Man, it's crazy how
That's the
inventive.
worst.
Yeah, when we had Eddie Rappel on the show, he got convicted of second-degree manslaughter, and he had to do some time up in Connecticut. And he would he was telling us stories about how they were cooking and things like that. But the ingenuity that comes into play in these situations is like in next level incredible. Like the way they're using things. Like he would talk about how they would hook up, like they would pull out the outlets and hook up shit in there and then put the ends in water and use that as like that's what they would cook with. It was almost like a crock pot. You know what I mean? And
you want to see what my boys made?
Oh,
This is my old celly, right?
Did you
If I
see?
could find this for you.
Have you seen the Bussin' channel? There's this dude. He's out, but he makes like chi-chis and like all these different things that he would make in prison.
I'm taking you to federal prison real quick. I'm going to show you. They made a pizza oven with a grill on it where they were frying chicken on the top, and they were making pizzas in the pizza oven. All right?
Oh golly!
Yeah, look at here. We got real live ovens and all this.
Oh my god.
No, we ain't live. We ain't live. We just never heard.
Dude,
That's
Where do you
that's
get
that's
a-
that's one of my old cellies, dude. He's in a prison, and they built this metal box. They got a heating element that they put inside of it.
Yeah.
They hook it to the wall, right? You
Yeah.
pull the light switch off, you hook it on there, and it heats up, and you're making a pizza in there. I've
Toaster
seen,
oven.
dude, one of the best prison pizzas I ever had. This dude made a pizza oven. He would put toilet paper buns underneath his bed, right? The bed's steel, cleaned it all off, all the paint's off there, it's clean.
Yeah.
And he made this cardboard box with aluminum foil. He would heat up underneath it, and it would be all enclosed, and he would make the pizzas in there with real dough. And they tasted like a real.
How do you get pizza dough?
Oh, well, you just steal the flour and stuff out of the kitchen. People sell shit out of the kitchen all the time.
Oh, okay.
wow.
Dude, I was in prison with a dude that made about $40,000. I know this sounds crazy. He made about $40,000 on his books from stealing shit from the kitchen in Raybrook. He's a legend, dude. He's a Southsider. He got out. I heard he's back in on a murder case, but this dude made $40,000 stealing peppers, onions, oatmeal, flour, raw meat. He was the butcher. When you're the butcher, dude, you're
Damn.
stealing raw meat, dude. You're selling this shit for, you're making $100 a day. As crazy as that sounds, and it's a lot when you're not in a position where you could really spend it.
Yeah.
Put it on
Yeah.
your book.
That's crazy too, is that like you're buying and dealing all this stuff. What was your job that you had when you were inside? I'm sure you had to have all of them, right?
What you mean from the prison?
Yeah. Like what was your
I had a bullshit job, man. I had to clean the microwaves and shit. Towards the end of my bid. Yeah, towards the end of my bid, man, I used to clean the bathrooms, dude, for like $9 a month, right? And I used to spend $30 buying my own supplies to clean them. But I used to use that
no.
bathroom. So me and my partner that I'm gonna end up bringing on,
yeah.
that's what we did. We cleaned it up there. I lived on an alley called Crack Alley, right? It's like 350 dudes in one unit. It was at a low. I ended up making it from a maximum security to an FCI to a low, but it took me 18 years, right?
Okay.
But my last 9 months I spent in a low security prison.
Uh-huh.
We lived on what was called Crack Alley. These dudes would come up there. They'd smoke K2. I don't know if you guys know what that is.
Yeah.
Prison K2. They call it Tucci. Really, a lot of it was bug spray on paper, right? So they would give you a piece of paper the size of an eyelash, dude. And it was
Really?
rocking these dudes. And they'd be down there in that last bathroom because there's only one cop for 350 people, right?
Yeah.
Cop's not walking up there. These dudes are in the bathroom falling out, puking everywhere. They're on this shit and they're like, "Ah!" And you're like, what the you know what I mean?
And they paid to do that shit?
Yeah, and man, dudes are dying in there. People have died in federal prison smoking this shit.
Damn.
And really, a lot of times what it was, people were saying, was bug spray. They were
Yeah.
spraying bug spray. And if you ever see a roach or something get hit with that spray, they're like, that's
Yeah.
exactly what it would do to the people.
Wow.
I mean, these dudes would sell everything they had. They wouldn't even have soap and deodorant because they were so
Oh my
geeked out. That was
gosh.
crack, man. That was
Damn.
prison crack.
That's incredible. Wow. What do you, besides were you able to cook anything while you were in there, or you were just like eating what other guys were cooking?
What? Of course, man. I was a chef, bro. We had microwaves in federal prison, and then they took them out a couple of years ago.
Oh.
But dude, I mean, we've deep fried. We've been locked down. Where I've cooked with plastic garbage bags, putting corned beef in there, putting rice, and boil it inside the water. Where we hooked wires with a nail clipper. I've used a nail clipper. You drop it in the water. It's hooked to the light. Water starts boiling. You put your food in these plastic bags. You drop them in the hot water. You don't. Hey, listen, man. Some rice with corned beef that's just been sitting there. It's like a prison crock pot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had a boy, man, this kid Biz, right? He's from West Virginia. If he's watching, man, shout out to Biz. This dude was a cook, bro. That was his hustle. He used to fry chicken, dude. He used to fry Snicker bars. Dude, he'd fry burritos with roast beef and cheese in them.
Whoa.
Oh.
And dude, they used to make these chimichangas, bro. Dude, they make good food in there. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah.
Don't think for a minute that they don't, because
Yeah.
we eat good. And I had a little money, bro. I was jailhouse lawyer.
Yeah.
So I made good money in prison, and I had a connection that worked in the staff kitchen when I was in Raybrook.
Mhm.
And dude, I've ate shit from like the store, lunch meat that they went and bought. Like dudes would steal it. I mean, we ate good, bro. I ate chicken that you would be like, holy shit.
You'd be like, damn, how'd they get this in here? What so you're in there, right? Like, and you said it was like the last 10 years of your sentence is kind of where you were going to you got your degree and you were spending more time learning and going and like studying and things like that. Was there a moment in time that you're like, I need to turn this around. I need to hit the books. Like what happened that you're just like, yo, fuck this. I'm doing this now.
From the start, I was on the law stuff, right? Because I felt like, man, ain't no one gonna fight for my life like I am.
True.
So I got into the law books immediately. As soon as I was arrested, bro, like I'm reading this shit. I'm semi-intelligent kid, right?
Yeah.
I'm reading this shit and I'm fighting for my life. And eventually I end up in a prison where we're locked down. We're in Coleman, USP Coleman in Florida.
Okay.
And this kid's like, yo, bro, I know you're always in the law library. We're locked down. He sends me a kite. Can you help me? Because my jailhouse lawyer's in another unit and I got to write this reply. And I've been in here 20-something years.
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, I don't really know, bro. I'm not, messing with other people's legal work. I'm not confident in helping other people. I'm confident in helping myself.
Yeah.
Eventually he convinces me to do it, and I do it for like $30 in like hygiene products, right?
Yeah.
I got the shit and I win. So as soon as I win that, we come
Oh
up
shit.
down, and there's another dude that he's down there for, reverse sting robbery shit, right? They're pulling people out of cars, carjacking them in Florida. I do his post-conviction mode.
Okay.
I win that. So now everybody's talking about me. There's another kid there that I'm really close with. I'm working on his case now again. Adaris Mazio Black. He ended up with a life sentence, man. It was a cartel case. A couple people are killed in the case. He went to Mexico, had a face transplant.
Whoa.
Had his fingerprints taken off. Wild case. He jumps out of the van. He tells them, look, if you guys take me to this, allegedly, if you guys take me to this storage shed, there's a couple $1 million there. I'll give it to you, man. Just let me go. And they're like, dude, we can't do that. He kicks the window out on the highway, 65 miles an hour, and jumps out. He gets fucked up pretty bad.
Yeah, I bet.
Dude from Detroit. So I ended up working on his case, and that just brought other people in.
Yeah.
So, that's what I did, man. And I started to turn my life around that time. And then when I made it to an FCI, I was in USP Lee, and this black dude, he comes up to me. He's one of my best friends.
What state is USP Lee in?
It's in Virginia.
Okay.
I'm in a maximum security prison in Virginia. And this dude's like, yo, man, I see you out here on the yard, man. You're hustling. You got a little influence. He's like, what are you going to do when they change the law, man? They bring back parole. You going to go down there and tell them you got caught with a knife, that you've been selling heroin in prison, that, you've been the shot caller. Is that what you're going to tell them? Because if so, you're not going to get out. And, in jail, I would buy anything that people had from the street. Like I had a white G-Shock watch. I had Oakley sunglasses. Anything that people had, like I wanted to still feel like I was free.
True.
He said, man, you can have all that shit, man. You can have the nice watches, new sneakers every time they come out on commissary. You can have it for the next 40 years. Or you can start working on getting out, bro. He said, come to this class. So I went to this class that he was teaching, right? Like the warden had him teach the class to the staff and to the prisoners. It's called Leaders Breed Leader. I checked it out. I talked to him like, all right, man, yeah, I see, thank you, bro, for, letting me come down here and all of that shit. And eventually I ended up leaving that prison shortly thereafter, right? I ended up getting in some shit. Kid tries to hit me with a rock and a net bag. He owed me money and tries to hit me.
Oh shit.
But then a few years later, I'm on the bus, and guess who's on the bus with that dude that told me about parole? He said, hey, man, you remember me? I said, yeah, I remember you. He said, man, you're on your way to a FCI. You must have turned some things around. I said, yeah, a little bit, stayed out of the way. He said, they're going to change the law soon, man. What are you going to do? And I was like, man, I'm getting my life together. I'm going to an FCI. And he is the dude that motivated me to write my judge. And I wrote my judge. I got a job in education, started working down there for about a year, and he said, write the judge. I said, I ain't writing the judge. He said, man, write the judge, man. Tell him all the good shit you're doing.
Yeah.
So I did. And the judge wrote me back.
Wow.
So when the judge writes me back, he says, you were always a smart kid. You just channeled it in the wrong way. He said,
yeah,
I wish the best for you and keep pushing. So that was the start of me getting out of prison, man.
What motivation.
Right.
Wow.
So, and then I end up going to school. I get a job as a law clerk. I'm working in education. I help write the reentry program over there. It started to feel good to help other people. Now I kind of felt like even though I had 40 years, I had a purpose now.
Yeah.
What the hell am I gonna do when I do get out? I'm going to be 60 years old, man.
Yeah.
So I started to educate myself because when I get out at 60, I started thinking, well, I'm going to get a hot dog cart. I'm going to maybe I can go work at a law office. I gotta do something. My mom will be gone, my aunts, my uncles.
Yeah.
I'm going to be 60 years old getting out of prison. I came in at 24.
Yeah.
And I used to think any type of social integration, it's probably over with. How could I ever communicate with people in the world?
Yeah.
But anyway, eventually everything that this guy told me, Cedric Dean, he's from Charlotte, North Carolina. He's doing big things.
Good shout out.
Dude, this dude's phenomenal, man. People can Google Cedric Dean.
Perfect. Yeah.
Charlotte, North Carolina. He ran for mayor down there and everything after doing 25 years in federal prison.
Golly.
Been in a couple movies, wrote over 30 books. He's got a contract with the feds now for housing prisoners that are getting out. He owns his own mental health thing. He's doing big things.
What an incredible guy. Wow, that's
Everything
incredible.
that Cedric told me turned out. They changed the law.
Yeah.
And eventually me writing my judge, sending him all the stuff that I was doing, eventually it played a part in the judge saying, you know what? I'm going to find that there's extraordinary and compelling reasons in this case. One is your rehabilitation.
Yeah.
I've never seen a federal prisoner do as much as you have done in prison. So one, your rehabilitation is an extraordinary and compelling reason to reduce the sentence. And the change in law, although it wasn't retroactive, Congress said that these laws are wrong.
Yeah.
They weren't supposed to give you 25 years for a second gun in
Yeah.
the same indictment. That was meant as a recidivist enhancement, right? Where
Yeah.
you go to federal prison, you didn't learn your lesson, you got out of federal prison and got a gun again. But what they would do is law enforcement would use it as a tool to really bang you. They let your house get busted with drugs and a gun,
Yeah.
let you go so they can catch you again within a couple weeks with another gun and drugs. So now it wasn't just 5 years and 10 years for the drugs. Now it was 5 for the first gun, 25 for the second, and 10 for the drugs, all stacked.
Wow.
That's how they were eliminating people, dude.
That's
So-
incredible.
The judge believed in me, man. And, all bullshit aside, I got out. Like I said, I got remarried. I got kids. The first year I was home, now I wasn't even home a year. My judge had wrote me January 14th, 2021, right? And said that he
Wow.
was happy that I was doing the right thing.
Yeah.
And 3 months ago, he invited me, my wife, and my kids to his chamber.
Yeah.
I was actually in the judge's chambers, and he told me, I went out on a limb to help you. He said, you wrote me a letter years ago that said you would never let me down and never disappoint me. He said, keep doing the right thing, man. Don't disappoint me. Don't let me down.
Dude, that's incredible too. Like,
That's
think
awesome.
of this story. Think of this as like a story arc. You couldn't fucking write this, right? You're a young kid. You get busted by this judge. Later on, right? You were on the one side where you're getting prosecuted, right? Now you're on the other side where you're doing like you're the defendant. You're helping the defendant, right? You know what I mean? Like you're.
Well, today I won another case today, right? This dude.
God bless you, man. That's
Dude had
awesome.
a life sentence. I posted it tonight on my Facebook page. I mean, there's a couple murders in the case. He went to jail when he was like 16, 17.
Yeah.
Been in prison 28 years. He calls me, needs some help. I do his case. I win it. Now he's going to get resentenced. He says, hey, I need a sentencing memorandum. I put that together.
Yeah.
We get that
Wow.
filed. And today a couple days ago, the judge granted it. The government was kind of appealing it. And today, I think he got out he was supposed to get out today around 5:00. I haven't checked, but he's out. He's getting out. And whether he got out today or it's tomorrow, he's done. He's going to
That's
be home for Christmas.
incredible. Dude, legit, you
wow.
change fucking people's lives doing that, man. That is fucking incredible, dude.
Well,
Wow.
I try, man. I told people when I got out, I'd be the voice of the voiceless. This is what I did for the last 10 years in prison was I went to that law library every single day.
Yeah.
I learned the law. I was able to do things that lawyers can't do, right? I'm able
Yeah.
to sit in the law library for 10, 12 hours a day and read and
Yeah.
learn.
And you were
they're back in
voracious. You were
court, they got-
voracious with it. You wanted it so like they're going. If you're a guy going to law school, you're doing the law, but you're thinking about partying afterwards. You were so
Right.
committed when you're in this library. You are just enveloped in learning this, right? Like you're just going so hard at it.
Well, no one was going to fight for my life like I was, right? And I
Amen.
used to tell people, they used to think I was crazy. I tell them, man, I'm getting out. And they'd be like, and I said, man, if I don't believe it, no one else will. So I got to push every single day. I don't care if I write a letter to a congressman, I write a motion, I send a letter to the judge, I do a program. I'm doing something every day to try to get out of prison. I got 40 years. I'm getting the fuck out of here, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there were times, dude, I'm not going to lie to you. There were times when I'd lay in my bed, man, and my heart would start racing. I'd be like, damn, man. And when I hit 40 years old in prison, I was like, fuck, man. I'm never going to have kids. What the fuck, man? I'm trying to get out of here.
Mhm.
And, one of the most disappointing things in my life was, and let this be a reminder to people that are watching, right?
Yeah.
I had done some clemency petitions for people, and I got this kid, he told me in the morning, yo, man, I got clemency. I did his clemency petition. He was a blood. He had been involved in stabbing some people, got caught with knives, major blood. He's like, no, they gave it to me, bro. And then later that day, I'm like, damn, man, they still didn't give it to me. They called me on the loudspeaker. My case manager was looking out for me. A lot of people liked me, man. They cared about me. Like, damn,
Yeah.
man, this dude deserves to get out, right?
Yeah.
So they called me on the loudspeaker to go up to see the counselor. I'm out on the yard or in the gym, something. No,
Yeah.
I think I was in the law library. So I'm like, damn, man, this is it. They called up here for me, and I get up there, and the case manager is just like, it makes me emotional, bro. She's like, I'm sorry, they denied you, And I'm like, damn, man. I just thought that was my moment. I just got this dude
Yeah.
out there was stabbing people. You know what I
What
mean?
a letdown.
I'm getting
God.
out, and I go up there, dude, and she's like, she felt sad, man.
Yeah.
And I shook it off though. I'm like, don't worry about it. It's all right. But really, that shit hurt me, man.
Well,
It
dude,
hurt me.
I'll tell you.
Obama,
Yeah.
And Obama could have let me out, man. You know why? I proved that he should have let me out. I've been out here almost 3 years, man.
Yeah.
I'm married. I own a home. I own 2 businesses. I take care of my kids.
Yeah.
I live a law-abiding life. I try to help people. He could have let me out back then, man, and he didn't.
Yeah.
So, is that, listen, there's a lot of people that should have got out. There's people that deserve to get out of prison more than I did that are still sitting in there. You know what I mean? And I mean it heartedly.
Yeah.
You'd be amazed at how many, there's a guy, Ian Owens, deserves to get out. Got the same type of charges as me. Stack 9, 24 C's. He's got like 300 years. This dude deserves to get out of prison. I won a case for a guy, Chazzy Glenn. Chazzy was sentenced to life. He was one of the originators of one of the blood sets in New York City. Young kid, grew up messed up. Parents are drug addicts, getting beat. His brother commits suicide. And, he's in the street at 14 years old trying to find something to eat. So what do you think he was going to do with his life? Eventually, he becomes a leader of the Bloods, right? Yeah. One of the leaders. And 2 people end up dead. I end up winning his case, dude, but he spent 20-something years in prison. I get his life sentence reduced to 35 years. He's still got like 6 years left.
But still, he's got a future, at least.
He's going to get out before, 2 months ago, he was going to die in prison. Now he's getting out and see.
God. And I bet now that he knows he's getting out, has his whole mindset changed of like, I'm going to clean up my shit. Like, I'm going to stay tight. Like, I'm not going to go crazy. Like, he's being a more well-rounded, I guess, inmate now, knowing that, like, I'm not fucking this up. 6 years. I can, Yeah,
I think he's no longer a gang member. He's a really intelligent dude, a well-respected dude. And yeah, he's getting a second chance. I won another case for another guy that was in the same prison as him. 18 years old, involved in a gang. They end up killing someone. His judge denies him a couple times. I do his shit. He's going. I posted it on my YouTube on the community page. He's going home, man. And this dude's like a full-fledged Christian, out of the gang life. Real good dude, educated, got a college degree in prison, teaching classes, teaching Spanish GED to brothers that don't know English. This dude changed his life, man, and now he's gonna get out of jail. His name's Noah Spina, out of Missouri. So Noah gets a second chance at life, and this is the dude that really deserves to get out. Yeah. I got a guy today, man, that I just did his case, John Brown. Been in prison 30 years. A meth case, nonviolent drug offender. Been in prison 30 years. He's 62 years old. He's like the preacher in prison, teaches Bible studies. They denied his compassionate release, but we're shooting for clemency. This dude deserves to he's been there 30 years, bro. He came in at 34, and I think he's 62, 63.
Yeah, what kind of shit is he going to do now? 63 years, like, Jesus Christ, the guy's done his time. Golly.
Let me give you an example, right? I wrote an article. I used to write for Criminal Legal News and Prisoner Legal News while I was in prison. That was another one of my jobs, right?
Is that a prison paper, or is that something you can get on the outside?
Oh, you can get it on the outside. It's a big publication, right?
Okay.
So I'm a staff writer for them, right? They pay me to do articles. So they send me this article that they want me to write because Lester Holt went into a prison in Louisiana. Okay. Lester Holt goes into this prison, and I got to write an article about it. And he's talking to this old man that's in a bed, and he's like, he's dying, right? He's 80-something years old. Been in prison 50 years, 45 years or some shit. Yeah. And he tells Lester Holt, asks him to help him open it. He can't even get his candy open. He's trying to eat a candy. He says, help me. And Lester Holt walks out of the hospital room. He helps him, I think, get his candy, and he walks out. And he's like, why is this guy still in jail? He can't even open a piece of candy. What harm can he cause? Yeah, yeah. And that's what people need to understand, because sometimes when I win cases, people will write me, people threaten me, and all kinds of shit, right? Yeah. But what people don't understand is when people are rehabilitated, why do you want to waste your tax dollars on, over incarcerating a guy that's, 80 years old, man? Let him go home, man. Let him go to a place. You don't even know what a home is. Yeah. Let him go home and spend his last days there, You're wasting tax dollars to over incarcerate people. Some people feel you just got to put they killed someone. You got to put the screws to them. You got to smash them. Yeah, the kid was 17 years old. His mother was a crackhead. He didn't have an upbringing. He didn't have food to eat. He did rob somebody and he killed someone. And should he be punished? Yeah. But should he die in prison? Should he spend 50 or 60 years in prison? Probably not, man. No, probably not. We have to look at the circumstances. Should there be a get out of jail free card? Fuck no. People should go in there and have to change their lives. Prove to me that you deserve to get out of prison. And then we let you out when you're not going to be a threat. You know what I mean? Most people that have done a lot of time in prison, 10, 15, 20 years, most people get out and appreciate their freedom, bro, and they're never going back. Yeah. I don't give a dude. If I would have got out of here and had nothing and had to collect cans to stay the fuck out of prison or work at McDonald's, I'm going to do it. Yeah. Hell yeah. I value my freedom, man. Hell yeah. And there's so many more people like that.
What was, when you got out, what was the first thing you did? Do you remember?
Got some food.
Yeah. Where do you remember where you went or no?
I used to see these commercials for a meat lover's stuffed crust pizza back in the day. And I used to be like, dude, I got to have a real pizza. I don't even like pizza no more. I eat so much pizza. I don't even want to eat it anymore.
Yeah.
But yeah, I got a stuffed crust pizza. And then this other kid told me he was from, I got out in Kentucky. And I know I'm from New York, but I got a little bit of a Southern accent. You can probably hear it, right?
Not really.
No?
Yeah, I can hear it.
No.
So, but my family's from Indiana, and where I'm from, we do got a little twang. I'm from, upstate New York.
Yeah.
Western New York. So my boy's like, man, you got to go over here and get this chicken, man. But you don't even need no sauce for this chicken. And I'm like, all right, man. So that night I went and got some of that fried chicken at like the soul food restaurant that they had in Kentucky, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, this chicken's phenomenal. And he was right. You didn't even need sauce. And then once I get home, I'm thinking, damn, I'm going to get some food from Sal's Birdland. That's a famous place where we're at.
Mhm.
I used to, be like, damn, I want to eat that. So when I go there, it was almost the same exact chicken. You don't even need sauce.
Damn.
So now I went from 209 to about 240 right now, bro.
Hey, bro. Who
Mash
get,
and
you need it, man. You got some time to make up for it. Nice, What
Are you back up in New York now?
Yeah, I live in Western
Yeah. You're Rochester still or
Rochester suburbs.
nice,
Moving up in
man.
the world.
Hey man, look at you. Now you're out. Love it.
I have a question
go ahead,
about when you came out. Like, what were some major differences that you noticed? Like, I know you said you like stayed up on fashion and stuff like that, but like, what else was different? Like, I know cell phones, like DVDs, like
Okay, so
I don't know, Swedish fish flavored vodka. Like, what are the things that you noticed that were just like totally crazy?
for me, when I got out, one of the craziest things for me was when I went back to my city, it looked like a third world country. They had cameras on the pole.
Oh yeah, cameras.
One of the first things I seen in my city was this dude was just on the middle of the sidewalk on the main strip at like 12 o'clock in the afternoon taking a piss. And I'm like, what the fuck? And then I seen people living underneath the bridges and flying signs. And I'm like, that wasn't here when I went to jail, right? The street lights, like they counted down for you now. As far as the cell phone went, when I went to jail, I had a Sprint flip phone. So now when I get out of jail and I see these phones, I'm like, this ain't a phone. I told my boys, this ain't a phone. This is a computer with a phone on it.
Right.
Yeah, right.
There's a phone inside of this. So that was a little bit shocking. You can order food like from your table on a computer and pay for it.
Yeah.
I had a hard time like being around people, going into stores. I was embarrassed to use my bank card because I didn't know how to use it. I didn't want people to be like, I had it. And someone was like, what are you, stupid? I was like, motherfucker, I just did 20 years in prison. I don't know. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But then I always wanted cash. And my wife was like, you always want cash. I said, yeah, because I don't want to be embarrassed if the card don't work or I don't know how to operate it. And it's so simple now, but for a person that's never used one or ever been in that position, it's like, you're nervous. You don't want to be embarrassed. You're afraid of people. I watch, when I got out, I'm watching people. So
yeah, I remember the first time when I used my card for the first time, they were like debit or credit, and I said credit, and it didn't work. I was like, I guess it's debit then. Let's try debit, and then it worked. I was like, what the fuck? Like it is embarrassing. I'm with you. I love having cash. I hate fucking doing the card, but it is what it is. Another Jana. So this is an incredible thing. I'll tell you, Chad. When I heard this was phenomenal. So Chad here, he's out. Right, he gets out, but I guess I don't know. I don't want to speak out of turn, but there was someone responsible or had some sort of responsibility for you going in. You ran into that person and then had them on the show, right?
Yeah, I interviewed the dude that wore a wire on me and started the case.
Can you fucking believe that?
What?
Yeah. You saw he had like a flat or something, right?
Huh?
He had like a flat tire or something, and you saw him, or like car trouble or something like that?
Yeah, he was trying to wave people down for this was the second time that I had seen him. He was trying to wave people down for a jump. He was just copping a bag of dope, and his truck wouldn't start.
God.
I'm like, I'm like, is that Donnie? And I put the car in reverse. He's like, hey man, don't hurt me, don't.
Yeah.
I said, you said that shit to me on a recorder before, bro. Like, I'm not here to hurt you, man. Yeah. And then we talked for like an hour and a half. He's like, dude, I want to do an interview. He knew about the YouTube channel.
Yeah.
And, we sat down and we talked. And I tell people, dude, I really did change my life. You know what I mean? And you know what? People that aren't sincere, it don't take long. I mean, you can't fake for a long time. Eventually you are who you are, right?
True.
And, I had this animosity towards this dude.
Yeah.
And for me to talk to him, it kind of like lifted the weight off my chest, bro. And I didn't want to be nasty to him no more. I didn't want to, there were times when, I wanted to do some bad things to this dude. And
yeah, of course.
I thought some wild things. And now I'm like, you know what, man? I felt remorse for him. He's still using drugs. Mm-hmm. 120 pounds soaking wet. And I felt remorse for that dude, bro. And you hear people all the time say it was like a weight lifted off my chest. And I guess I never really understood that until I interviewed this dude and talked to him. And I'm like, I'm not even mad at this dude no more. Like it was like naturally gone. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
I'll tell you what, he could be on my show, but I'm still gonna put Visine in his drink when he's not looking. I need a little bit. I need to do a little bit of
Well, I can't tell people like to do the right thing on my channel and say this is what the mission is. If I'm harboring if I'm not living the way that I'm talking, then I probably shouldn't be on there, right?
Yeah,
because
true.
My mission isn't just to get on YouTube and make a whole bunch of money. It'd be great if I did, but the mission is a little bit different. I don't need YouTube to pay my bills, man. I make really good money. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, that's just part of I don't know, man. I feel bad about taking from the community. I feel bad when I meet a kid from New York City and I take a liking to him and he can't read and write. He can't even read his own letters. He can't fight his case and he's got 40 years because he doesn't know how to read and write.
Yeah,
he was caught up in a drug conspiracy with 2 guns and he's got 40 years. So that's why I try to, do what I can to give back.
Yeah.
And, another thing, I don't know if you know this, but the person that ended up representing me, right, I filed my stuff pro se, was John Gleason. John Gleason was the guy who prosecuted John Gotti. He's the guy that gave the deal to Sammy the Bull Gravano, right? He's a prosecutor. He ends up becoming a federal judge for 22 years. He steps off the bench. This dude's loaded, bro. He doesn't have to do this.
Yeah.
Steps off the bench to help people that are in my position with Stack 924C. He felt like as a federal judge, he was smashing people that deserved a second chance. He was one of the founders of what's going on now, right? He was one of the people that laid the groundwork in a case called United States versus Holloway. Holloway did some carjackings, ended up with 50 years, and Gleason was the judge, and he felt bad about it. He had Stack 924Cs, and he told Loretta Lynch, who was the U.S. attorney at the time, she would later become the attorney general for Obama.
Yeah.
Look, I want you to open this case and let me resentence this dude. He's been in there 20 years. He changed his life. He's rehabilitated. They said, no, we ain't doing it. He said, well, I'm going to have to reconsider some of his other filing. And then they changed their tune and they said, okay, this is a special case. We're going to open up the case and let you resentence this guy and send him home with his family. And that's what he did. And shortly thereafter, he steps off the bench and he starts helping guys like me. So he gets involved in my case, and he helps me do it. And I'm forever grateful to that dude. Him, and one of the other lawyers, a chick named Marissa Taney that worked over there, Elizabeth Costello. Like, I got nothing but respect for that girl right there, Elizabeth.
Yeah.
She really helped me. And there's another lawyer named Harlan Protas. He was the lawyer on the Holloway case, right, that Gleason granted.
Yeah.
He was like a father figure to me, man. One of the best lawyers in the country. I actually interviewed him on my channel. Just a genuine good guy, one of the best lawyers in the country.
Yeah.
Who came to represent me. I found out what real lawyers were, man. And I'm forever grateful to them. But isn't it crazy? Like, this dude was a federal judge and he came and represented me and that prosecuted John Gotti.
Dude, it's unbelievable. People helping people is a beautiful thing, but when you see things like that, it kind of restores your faith in humanity. You know what I mean? Like, that shit he had no reason to want to do that except to help. Like, that's incredible. So you keep saying this thing. Now, it's not for me, but probably for like the Justins of the world. You keep saying Stack 924Cs. Can you kind of explain what those are?
Yeah. So before they passed the First Step Act, right? Like I said earlier, the police would let you go, right? They find a gun. So a Stack 924C is this. 18 U.S.C. 924C is possession of a weapon in furtherance of a drug trafficking crime and or a crime of violence. So for the first gun, if you just have it, it's 5 years. If you brandish the gun, it's 7. If you discharge the gun, it's 10, right? Damn. Let's say you do a robbery and you discharge the gun in the bank. That's a mandatory 10 years, not counting what you're going to get for the robbery. Shit. So now every consecutive 924C, and this is where the stacking comes in, is 25 years. Now, let me tell you the crazy thing about it. I had a friend named Weldon Angelo. He ends up getting out. Trump pardons him. He's, doing big things, helping people. But what happened with him was, I don't know the exact weights. He sells you an ounce of weed, right?
Okay.
He's got this 9mm on him. Boom.
Okay.
That's 5 years. The next week he sells jdub. He sells him an ounce of weed. He's got that same 9mm. Now it's another 25. So that's 5 for the first one, 25 for the second. He's at 30 right now, right?
Yeah.
So now he goes and sells your homegirl an ounce.
Yeah.
With the same gun. That's another 25. He was sentenced to 55 years. He got
for the same weapon.
For the same weapon. He got 1 day for the marijuana, right?
Yeah.
And 55 years for the same gun. 5, 25, and 25. And they're stacked. In my case, they bust in a house. I'm not at that. They bust the house. They find a 12-gauge shotgun. That's 924C for me, right? That's 5.
Yep.
On top of whatever I'm going to get for the drugs, right? About a month and a half later, they bust another house. They find a 22 rifle in that house. So now they got stacked 924Cs. They arrest us, and they charge us with a conspiracy. Oh, so now I get 10 years for the crack as my mandatory minimum.
Yep.
The first gun is 5. So now I'm at 15, right? They're stacked, 10 and 5. And now the other gun, the 22 rifle, is another 25 years. So now I got 10, 5, 25. I got a 40-year sentence. That's my mandatory minimum. The judge cannot go any lower than that. Even though he's the federal judge, he does not have the power to go less if he wants to.
Damn. For 2 guns that was in a house that they raided. Yeah, incredible. Wow. When you put it out like that, that's, I mean, I can see why the law is fascinating. That's pretty, like, that is interesting when you put it like that, you know, I guess when you stack it all together, for
Is it
lack of a better
because
term.
like the guns weren't registered or you didn't have a permit? Is that the reason?
No, none of that. I mean, I've been in jail with guys that had license to carry a gun, but was selling crack.
Yeah.
So he got
so
30
just
years.
because there were drugs involved, they bring the guns in.
Yeah.
There was this kid that I used to write about a lot, right? He was out of Pennsylvania. And I would write articles about him. And I would use him as the example. Young kid, poor, living in the street. He's robbing like pizza joints.
Yeah.
So he robs like 5 of these pizza joints, right? And he gets away, and he gets away again, and then he gets away. Then they're like, oh, this is the guy. We figured it out. We found him. We got him. So now he gets 5 years, 25. His name was Jamel Azell, right?
Okay.
So they give him like 200 years. And the judge, eventually he gets his sentence reduced and he gets out after doing 20-something years. But I mean, this is a kid that was robbing, Domino's Pizza for $30. And he ends up with 200-something years, man.
Right.
So, I mean, that just goes to show you, like, some people, you're like, damn, man, these guys got to be off the street. They're robbing pizza joints. Like, the dude has no money. That's what a petty crime he was committing, right?
Yeah.
Because he's young, ignorant, making bad choices. Yeah. But eventually he goes to prison, educates himself, gets a GED, think he might have got some college, bunch of programming, and the judge believed in him and released him. But, it's sad when you got kids out here that are, you're too dumb. And I hate to say, but yeah, he was dumb. And I usually like to use myself. I was a dummy, right?
Yeah.
But he was a dummy, man. He's there for $30.
Yeah.
You're gonna get 200-something.
The people rob gas stations.
Do you think that they tried to make these, because that seems like so much, right? You get so much time for robbing Domino's Pizza or whatever you said.
But it'd be the same
Do
if
you
he
think-
robbed a bank. You know what I mean? It'd be the same, like they lump it together.
But do you think, in your opinion, that they try to make these big things happen at the beginning to try to sway people from not doing crime, or like?
Listen, I don't necessarily believe in that, right? A lot of times I think it's just a job for people. Like, hey, man, they're committing crimes. This is my job. I'm a cop, and I'm gonna do what I got to do, and I'm gonna put your ass in jail. Yeah. You can't live in a lawless land. Like, we just had a 12-year-old shot and killed in my city. Last night we had a 12-year-old girl, a 16-year-old girl, and a 20-year-old kid shot. They just killed 2 cops and killed 1 cop, shot another cop in my city about 3 months ago. So you can't live in a lawless land. There has to be.
No, but if there's someone that's getting a murder charge, and then there's someone that's getting a Domino's Pizza robbery charge for 200 years, and the murder person's not getting that much, like, how does that make any sense? It doesn't make any sense.
Like I talked about that Holloway case, right? In that case, I believe it was Judge Gleason that spoke about the average sentence for murder at the time in federal prison was 235 months, 19 years, 7 months, right? Somewhere in that area.
Yeah.
And I had to give this guy, 60 years, and he didn't even kill anybody. Back then in the Weldon Angelos case, the judge advocated for him, wanted to help him get out. He changed his life. He said, today's a horrible day. I have to give you 55 years. He said a terrorist that blows up a plane would get less time than you. His his maximum was 20. A guy that, abuses kids, his minimum was less. It was 15 years at the time. Yeah. A guy that killed someone, his minimum at that time average sentence would be 240 months or whatever.
Yeah.
And he talks about all that in the decision. He said, but here I have a guy that sold marijuana with the same gun 3 times, and I got to give him 55 years.
Jesus.
But if I had a terrorist in front of me, the most I could give him was 20.
Damn. See, so it's just that the laws and rules that they have in place are, I mean, they're like you're saying, Jana, that they're extreme to deter people from wanting to commit the crime. Right.
I'm asking if like that makes any sense to anyone, because I don't get it. Like when I hear like stuff like that, I don't understand why someone like that would get so much time and a murderer would get like 8 years. Like I don't get.
Well, let me give it to you, right? Because it's not about deterrence, right? Sending people to prison for 50, 60 years isn't the best deterrence. There's science on it. There's a whole lot of factors that go into it, right?
Right.
A deterrence, because what happens is when you go to prison for that long, it becomes a part of your life.
Yeah.
And as crazy as this sounds, it doesn't bother you as much in your 5th year as it did in your 1st year. Yeah. It doesn't even bother you as much in your 15th year as it did in your 5th year. because this is your life. Like me, I lived, every day and I wanted to get out of jail. And there were only, towards the end, there were times where I was like, I told you I'd panic sometimes.
Yeah.
But sometimes I didn't even think about the street anymore. Sometimes it was just, it's just my life. And once in a while I would get like, damn, I want to get out of here. So it's not the biggest deterrence. I believe this. I believe that you can take a guy and you say, look, you want to sell drugs, you want to carry guns, you want to do a robbery. Your sentence is 20 years, right? They give you your sentence, 40 years, 50 years. But we got this program and we're going to let you out in 8 years. We're going to get you some character education. We're going to get you a high school diploma. We're going to get you a trade, and we're going to get you a college degree. We're going to teach you how to pull your pants up. We're going to teach you how to comb your hair in the morning, make your bed, be responsible. And if you don't want to get out of jail in 8 years, that's okay. We got a place for you. We'll send you over to Big Sandy. You want to be a gang member?
Yeah.
You want to sell dope? You want to stab people? We got a place for you. We're going to send you over to Big Sandy. And that's where that shit's happening at. We're going to send you over to USP Pollock. We'll send you to USP Lee. But we're going to give you a second chance. Prove to us that you deserve to get out of prison. But at the same time, you have to also change the culture inside. You have to change the cops. Because them cops are vicious. They're nasty. They're brutal. They believe that their job is to impose punishment. Not all of them, but a lot of them. Your job is not to impose punishment. The punishment comes from the core. You think you have to go in my cell and destroy it. You think you got to say, hey, get on the wall, motherfucker. You think that you got to beat me up because I disrespected you, because I told you, fuck you. But really, a lot of times people that tell the cop, fuck you, it's because the cop says, fuck you to me.
Yeah. It's
so
reactionary.
You have to change the culture. How do you do that? You put fucking body cameras on these people and hold them accountable. That's how. You got them on cops in the street. You got them in cop cars.
Yeah.
Put them on prison guards, man.
That's
I'm
not
not saying all
bad.
prison guards are bad, because I'm keeping it real with you, bro. I'm not criminal no more. I've been around cops that were kind to me. I've been around staff members, like I said, when that lady had to tell me that I was denied, she felt bad for me.
Yeah.
She got the bat for me. She wrote reports about me. I've had staff members, lieutenants and a captain write and say, hey, I believe this kid changed his life. I believe he deserves to get out of prison. And there are people in there that'll do that, but there are some vicious people that go out of their way to be nasty to you. They think because you're in jail. Like, I got an email today from some dude that said, I see you're a hug-a-thug, right? Wrote me on my email, blood on the razor wire. And usually I don't do this. Usually I don't respond this way. He said, you're a hug-a-thug. What happens if, an inmate throws piss or shit on a cop, insinuating shouldn't they get their ass beat? So let me tell you what I wrote him. The first thing I wrote, fuck you. I said, I am impartial. I call it both ways. And if I was a cop or I was in the street or I was a prisoner, if you threw shit or piss on me, I probably wouldn't care about the job either. Yeah, and he asked me, do people got something coming for that? And I wrote him back and said, you're fucking right, they got something coming. You throw shit, you shit me down? You know what shit me down is?
No.
Dudes will put shit in a bottle, right? Let's say I got this iced tea right here. I love drinking iced tea. Yeah. They shit and piss in here and they shake it up, right? And they're holding it. And they wait for the cop to open the flap, usually with a shampoo bottle. You open the flap and they spray you in the face with shit and piss.
Shut the fuck up.
For 4 or 5 days. So that's what he was asking me. And I said, yeah, you're right. If you're a cop or a prisoner, if you throw shit or piss on me,
fucking you're getting it. Yeah.
I'm not cleaning it off and walking away. I'm going to lose my job.
Yeah.
I'm going to blast you I'm going to blast you, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you're not doing that. There's probably a reason they picked that. I mean, I guess it could still be random, but yeah.
You're saying like it's not like it wasn't out of nowhere. Like this guy maybe was fucking with their food or something like that.
You don't save 4 days
I'm not
of
saying
your shit and piss for somebody who you're not mad at.
Well, hold on now. Now let me tell you something else. There are some mental health patients in there. There are some dudes that will throw shit and piss on you for no reason because they feel like they don't like you today.
Damn.
They'll do it to cops. They'll do it to other prisoners. So anyway, they'll throw shit and piss on you for no reason. I've seen, dude, I was in a prison, right? You guys probably remember this dude. He kidnapped that little blonde-haired girl, Elizabeth Smart.
Yeah. Oh, fuck yeah. I remember that.
Okay. So that dude's in federal prison, right? He's in USP Tucson. And what they were doing was they were changing that prison from a real prison to, prison for people that need protection, right? And at first they would just made it one unit and they blocked it off where you could talk to them through the fence, but you could never get to these people physically, right?
Yeah.
And there was this kid over there and we've got these big squirt bottles. Mm-hmm. And he's like, dude, this little crazy ass dude that kind of looked up to me. He's like, dude, I'm going to get this dude, bro.
Yeah.
And at the time, I wasn't the best dude. And I'm like, get him, bro.
Yeah.
Get him. So he puts shit and piss in there. He's talking to the dude every day. Hey, what's up, man? And he's getting him to the fence. And this crazy fucker used to put butter on his face and look at the sun. And he's like, dude, I'm going to get him today. And I'm like, fuck it, get him. And he calls him over to the gate. And he fucking sprayed that dude with shit and piss. And the dude was like, pop, pop, pop.
Oh, he hit him in the face?
Yeah, he hit him in the face.
Oh, fuck.
So the dude that kidnapped Elizabeth Smart, that's a story he got shut it down. Dude sprayed the shit out of him. And when he sprayed him, it was like a hose. Like the dude was like, It was like he was getting shot, but he was getting sprayed. You know what I mean?
Jesus.
Oh,
Ryan David
God.
Mitchell, I believe, is the guy's
Yeah,
name.
David Mitchell. That was his name. Yep.
Yeah. Wow.
David Mitchell.
Dude,
So
is that something like I remember? I mean, I had a buddy of mine. His dad did some time in Jersey City, and they said a pedophile had gone through there, and it was like real rough for that. Like, I know you got a role, but was that something that like that's like I think everybody knows that if you go
Yeah.
in, if a pedo goes in there, they're just fucking
you
done.
want to see what happens to some of them people?
Fuck.
You want to see? Do you want me to show you this?
Yeah, I don't care. Yeah, that's
This
fine.
is like a.
I'm
The
scared.
guy from what I was told about Jersey City, the guards brought the dude in there, stripped him naked, beat him, handcuffed him to a chair, and left his cell door open and
Okay,
stripped him
so
naked.
I'm gonna show you something so you know. Can you see this? This dude stabbed like 120 times.
Jeez, right.
Oh, on his neck.
Oh, and his chest.
Woo!
Oh,
That's him.
oh,
Jeez.
yeah.
I can't even make that out.
That's him. Yeah.
For everyone
Woof.
listening, this guy is butchered. Woof.
That's what they call getting butchered in prison, but
Yeah.
Oh, that's one of those rods you were talking about.
yeah, he probably got hit with an ice pick.
Yeah, ice
Ugh.
pick.
Jesus.
I'm gonna do a story on this cat, man. But
But that's like a big thing in prison, right? Like those guys they're done, right?
it depends on where you're at. I mean, they got places where they're protected. You got when I went to that low security prison, they live among us. Because you're at a low security prison. I'm trying to get out of prison. I'm not doing
So
that.
you're not, yeah. You're like, fuck it. I hate this I despise this person, but I'm also on my way out. I ain't trying to fuck up my shit.
Yeah, and you know what, man? You stop living. You don't like these people, but you stop living the tough guy life, right?
Yeah.
And you're like, dude, that's not who I am anymore.
done.
Sometimes
Yeah.
I used to feel bad, like, damn, dude, like I'm not the guy I used to be. And
But
then
it
I had
ain't
to
your
think,
responsibility anyway.
well, yeah. Then you start thinking, you know what? I'm glad I'm not that guy no more. I don't want to be in the hole no more. Dude, I was in the hole. I spent 14 months in the hole.
Oh,
And
fuck.
There's times where where that will destroy you. There's times where I don't think I ever said this on a video, but there were times where I'd be in there and just start crying.
Yeah, fuck yeah.
There were
If
times
we-
where I
If
thought
we
that
have
they
you
were gonna-
back, I have so many questions about being in solitary confinement, like how maddening that has to be.
I started thinking that they were going to put dogs in there on me, right? I started kind of hallucinating, thinking they're going to put some German shepherds in here to bite me and shit. And I was going through some shit with the cop where I was beefing with them. I'm not just talking; they were spitting in my food. I was only eating bread, eating fruit. They did some fucked up shit to me, man. At once upon a time, but they're in that 14 months. But yeah, it's
14
hard, man.
months straight in the
Yeah,
hole?
14 months straight.
God fucking damn it.
I was in the hole
Oh.
with Whitey Bulger. I used to go to rec with him every day.
With Whitey Bulger?
Yeah, he used to. I wouldn't. He was cell alone, rec alone. He had to be in his own cage. I was in my own cage, and I would talk to him through the fence.
Dude.
Because
That-
they released him. What happened? They released him back to like general population, then didn't he get beaten to death
Yeah, they killed him within 8 hours.
immediately? Yeah.
Because he was he snitched to the FBI, right?
Yeah, and they said that he was a sex.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Well, okay, Chad.
This
I
is
know,
awesome.
dude, Chad. I know you got to run. I know that Justin, Jana, and I are all on the same page. But bro, we would love to have you back on the show if you'd be willing to come back.
No problem. We'll talk about solitary confinement next time.
Oh, damn,
Yes.
I mean, willing. But Chad, before we get out of here, is there anything you want to say to the Blood on the Razor Wire fans and everyone listening?
Just check us out. YouTube, Blood on the Razor Wire TV.
Yep.
We got a mission to save kids from life imprisonment and premature death in the streets.
Mhm.
I've interviewed some interesting characters on there.
Yeah.
I've actually interviewed a former federal judge. I interviewed Troy Kell, Gladiator days. He hasn't done an interview since HBO in 2001. We got some pretty interesting content over there. I think people enjoy it.
You got great content.
My Blood on the Razor Wire book. It's a violent book, but that's the life that I lived. You can find that on Amazon.
Yeah.
I got some books coming in. I sell autographed copies. My audio book will be out, I believe, on Friday. I narrate my own book,
Nice.
but I also narrated it and put videos up of my book on my channel. I
Yeah.
think people will be interested, and I definitely appreciate you guys having me on, and I wish the best for all of you.
No, Chad,
you.
you're awesome, man. This honestly, not only was it like great to talk to you, but this was enlightening and inspiring, man. I'll tell you what you're doing is you went from, fighting for survival and doing what you can to legit providing a service that is bettering the world and bettering the existence of humanity. And that's something you should be very proud of, man. And it really is an honor to have you on so you can share your message and what you've been doing, dude. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I appreciate you guys.
Of course. Justin, anything you want to say before we get the hell out of here?
Nah, this was awesome. Yeah,
This was
you check
fucking
out
great.
Blood on the Razor Wire. I feel like I've said like 3 things this whole interview. I could listen to you all night. It's fantastic.
Nice. Janae Mambebe, anything you want to say before we get out of here?
Thank you, Chad. Everybody else, I'll see you tonight.
Love it. Speaking of seeing you tonight, this has been another episode of the Working Perspectives podcast. I'm Matt Lavelle, accompanied today by jdub, Justin Richardson, the Heartstopper, Jana Hehlo, and our guest today is the incredible, the amazing, the madman that is Chad Marks. In case you're wondering, you can find all our stuff and all our content and all podcast platforms and YouTube at Working Perspectives Podcast. You can also on Instagram, Working Perspectives Podcast. You can join us on the Twitter and the TikTok at Working P Pod. If you'd like to be a guest on the show, please email us at workingperspectives@gmail.com. And please like and subscribe so we keep bringing you this sweet, sweet content. Thanks for listening. Stick around for the ad read. Thanks. See ya. Do you have a message or a story inside of you that you've been waiting to tell? Have you always dreamed of writing a book, but are intimidated by the complexities of the book publishing world? Perhaps you want to use a book to launch your public speaking or consulting career. If so, please reach out to Scott and Bell Publishing, located right here in beautiful Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Scott and Bell Publishing handle all genres and authors with all experience levels. Scott and Bell Publishing gives authors 100% creative freedom and a higher royalty split. They can be found at www.skotbell.com. That's www.s as in Sam, K as in Kite, O as in October, T as in Tom, B as in Boy, E as in Edward, L as in Larry, L as in Larry.com. That's Scott and Bell Publishing, where the authors go.